now get back to 13 here of Revelation. It was granted to him, verse 7, in Revelation 13, to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given to him over every tribe and tongue and nation. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If anyone has an ear to hear, let him hear. He who leads into captivity will go into captivity. Who's been leading into captivity? Satan. Mm-hmm. The Antichrist. Mm-hmm. The adversary. They're leading into captivity. So now they're going to go into captivity. Mm-hmm. He who kills with the sword, war, sword, must be killed with the sword. You reap what you sow, enemy. Mm-hmm. Here is the patience of the saints. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Patience also is, I have a notation here, is also perseverance. Perseverance. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. I always want to say perseverance when I see that. Yeah. It's perseverance. You're correct. And that's actually a better word. Here is the perseverance, the patience of, and the faith of the saints. So, even though the saints are going to face death, they're going to face persecution of the sword. They're going to face these things, the 2 witnesses, the 4 witnesses. It says here is the patience or the perseverance and the faith of the saints. The next verse is, then I saw another beast. Okay, so now there's kind of this shift. Mm-hmm. So he stops with that beast, and that is talking about a political beast. Mm-hmm. That is the Antichrist. That is this political king in ruling and reigning in this kingdom that's been given this authority, that's making war with the saints, that has 3.5 years, been given his power by Satan. That's what we just dealt with. Verse 11, then I saw another beast. This is a different one. Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. So this beast, he has 2 kings or ruling entities that are like a lamb. Mm-hmm. So that, when you talk about the church, we are, God, Jesus is our shepherd and we are the lambs. He is also the Lamb of God. Mm-hmm. You're talking about this beast that is likened unto Christ or a religious system in the earth. And it has like these two horns, which are kind of relating to 2 authorities in this religious system. Mm-hmm. And he spoke like a dragon. Mm-hmm. So like the devil, cunning, deceiving the whole earth, a liar, deceiving people. He will exercise all the authority of the first beast, the same that the Antichrist has, in his presence, in the presence of the Antichrist, and he causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the beast. Well, that makes sense. The false prophet, the capitalized false prophet. Right. He is the one who is the religious leader entity, who will cause the earth to worship the beast. Mm-hmm. And this guy must be the answer. He's God. This must be the Messiah. This must be whatever. Mm-hmm. He's going to cause people to worship the first beast, who is the Antichrist, whose deadly wound was healed. Mm-hmm. He performs great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, just like the prophets that we talked about, the 2 witnesses. It's like as in the days of Moses, back to Moses in the Old Testament, when Moses went before Pharaoh and he said, let my people go. And then when Pharaoh didn't let him go, then he threw his rod down and it turned into a serpent. And the Pharaoh's magicians, they threw their rods down and they turned into serpents, and like, so what is that big deal? We can do the same thing as you. But then Moses' serpent ate the magician's serpents. Mm-hmm. Satan has power. Mm-hmm. Demons have power. Mm-hmm. Demon-possessed people have power given to them through the authority of Satan and demons that can do signs and wonders. Mm-hmm. There were other things, the magicians during Moses' time and those that were into basically witchcraft and that sort of thing, they could do. Mm-hmm. And the people would like, wow,
follow
follow them because they had this power, but their power
they had power.
Their power was given to them from an evil source.
Yeah.
But there was a point in time where that power became separated and they could no longer
rely on it
and no longer do the things that Moses continued to do through the power of the Holy Spirit and the power of God.
Yeah.
So yes, the false prophet will do wonders and convince many.
It's kind of like they had power with a little p.
Yeah.
Like you have gods with a little g.
Yeah. Right.
There's a supreme God that oversees the little.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it says that this false prophet performs great signs so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives. He spoke like a dragon, it says. He deceives those who dwell on the earth, and those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword. I'll just read that verse again because I'm not sure if that got recorded. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword. So it is the false prophet, the religious leader, which likely will be coming out of the Vatican. Some people used to say, oh, the Pope is the Antichrist. No, the Pope's not the Antichrist. He is the false prophet. He may be the false prophet. But the Protestant church is not going to get away with it either, because this beast had two horns. And I think there's going to be just this sort of one world religious system that there's going to be some agreement with these, there. Yeah. So it's going to have this person representing it, and it likely could be the Pope, because who else he basically has a reigning rule over the earth in this religious system of Catholicism. So it's pretty interesting. And he will deceive many into worshiping this, to make the image, causing people to make this image of the beast and then to worship it. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast that these people made. It's like in Moses. Moses, what did they make? They made the golden calf, and the people were bowing down and worshiping this golden calf. And in this case, he's given breath to the image, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Now, will it actually come to life and speak? Or is it because technology has gone so far that we actually will see a beast, in Daniel's day or in John's day, either one, they never had tape recordings, or they never had television or the internet or television, think of the images that come before us on television that speak to us lies and deception.
Oh yeah.
So this image
could be a big screen. Seems like in a lot of science fiction or dystopia, you see this big screen everywhere with the, whoever
this image of whoever
speaking into the lives of the people.
So I don't know exactly what form that's going to take, or if it's going to actually be an alive situation, but that's what it's telling us. And so,
do you think that little horn that comes up, that's boastful, out of that last beast, could that be this false prophet?
No, the little horn is the Antichrist.
The little horn is the Antichrist.
It's the political part, because you have Satan basically, like God has is three. It's Jesus the Father and the Holy Spirit. With on the evil side, it's the dragon, the false prophet. The dragon is the devil. The false prophet, which is this beast we're talking about now, and the Antichrist, which is in human form, which is a counterfeit to Jesus. Okay. So you have this entity within this beast, but they are three separate things. They're not one like God is one with deity. Satan is using this, again, it's Satan's counterfeits out there. Okay. And so this false prophet, these are all, every one of these, Satan, the false prophet, and the Antichrist are created beings. They are not born forth from God. Jesus was from yesterday, today, and forever. before the foundations of the earth. He always was, is, and is to come. He's always been there, always been alive. The Antichrist has not been that. None of these other. So, it's beings. Satan's best attempt at deceiving. Looking like. Yeah, this 3 looks like a lamb, speaks like a dragon. You know what I'm saying? 14, and he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast. So people are going to actually be deceived by the signs that he does. They're going to look at the signs and, oh, this must be God. This must be right. This must be. Telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast, who was wounded by the sword and lived. So because of these signs, they're going to be convinced and they will make an image to him. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the beast or the image of the beast to be killed. So they're actually going to be caused to worship this image of the beast. And if they don't, they're going to be killed. He causes, so that means there will be people that will be killed that are standing their ground. It says he comes and deceives the whole world, all tribes, tongues, and people, and everybody, and this and that. But not every person will be deceived. There are those who will not go along with the program, and they will be persecuted for it. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, so that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. One of those 3 things. They either have the mark or the name or the number of his name. Again, this is not something, even though it says he causes all, great and rich, poor and free, slave and free, to have a right, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead. That still doesn't mean everybody's going to do it, every single person. There is people that won't do it. And if they don't, they're going to receive the consequences of their actions if they don't bend and bow to the will of this Antichrist and the one world government. The mark on the head and the forehead, the hand and the forehead, likely most people will have it in their hand. But if you have somebody that's had their arm shot off or they have they don't have limbs. Where are they going to put it? They're going to stick it on their forehead, because if their head's not there, they're dead, So,
that's true.
It says, here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man. His number is 666. I have written down Matthew 4, 3, and 4. Oh, no one would be able to buy and sell. Okay. Matthew 4, 3, and 4. Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to start with just the beginning of 4. Okay, so again, let me read Revelation so it's in the context of that passage. And that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Remember, they were caused to have the mark and to worship this image and so on. So then you go to Matthew 4, 1. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. The first thing he was tempted, and when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, afterward he was hungry. Now, when the tempter came to him, he said, if you are the Son of God, command that these stones become bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. So during the time of the tribulation, those who are going to stand and not take the mark, they're going to be tempted with hunger. When people are hungry, they do almost anything to get food in their bellies. It's a survival instinct. And this is where the battle of the flesh and the spirit comes. The only way I think to overcome that is right here where Jesus says that man shall not live by bread alone. This is really key and important, I think, in studying this verse here. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Every promise, every word, every testament of his faithfulness, every hope of what we have to come, every word.
And Jesus says he is the bread of
life. Exactly. I am the bread of life.
Mm-hmm.
He, during the time of Elijah,
Mm-hmm.
the widowed woman had nothing left but enough for one day's supply for her and her son. But she sent a prophet, and because she obeyed the word of the Lord through that prophet, somehow her vats got filled every day, and it sustained her through famine.
The famine.
That's the kind of faith I think we're going to be required to live on in that 3.5 year period. And remember in Matthew it says, unless those days were shortened, even the very elect would be, So I don't think we could handle more than that 3.5 years of that type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think there is going to be those who are killed for their faith. There's going to be those who will survive it, but it's going to be by the skin of our teeth, and it's going to be hard. And so I don't know how that's all going to play out, but if we know our God and we are obedient to his voice, his plan will play out in our lives one way or the other.
Well, and I think when you look at the early Christians in Acts,
right.
They lived together. They pooled all their resources. They cared for one another, and I think that's how they survived some of the persecution that was going on at that time.
Right.
Some of them didn't survive the persecution. Some of them were killed, thrown to the lions, or burned as Roman candles.
But then there's the story of when God was going to bring judgment down, and the woman who with the scarlet rope threw it over to
allow the spies to come into the city because she believed in their God.
Exactly. And she was a prostitute.
Yeah.
But God, because of what she did, saved her and her household because she helped to save God's people. And this is an interesting thing. Will God have those kinds of people in the last days who aren't walking with him, but have resources where they will help to save and to accomplish God's task in the world, and they're unbelievers, but maybe then they'll be saved, or God will, so
maybe they have the mark of the beast, but they want the underground, currency, or they want whatever, and they're willing to work.
It's so hard to say, and the mark of the beast again is there is stuff back and forth about, is it an actual mark on your hand? Is it actually a spiritual, a sealing where that takes place, like the sealing of the 144,000 with the name of God, and they won't be touched, will they actually have the name of God written on them, or is it a spiritual sealing, so there is the possibility that, it's actually, there's a point where there is a sealing of those who God knows are his and believes in him, and those who, but this says on their right hand or forehead, because this is economical too. So, again, I think it's going to be some kind of a chip or some kind of something.
Yeah.
And so, it's hard to say how it will all play out, but God knows how to sustain his own people. And, and there's even a point to where he empowers us to the point of being able to have faith unto death, and that's...
Look at the Israelites going into the promised land.
Yeah.
God gave them the victory. They weren't
right.
able,
and you don't think they were all afraid having to leave the land that they were used to, the food that they were used to, even though they were in bondage, some of them wanted to go back.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
well, that's why
we're
that
out
whole
here,
generation didn't go into the promised
did you bring
land.
us out here to die, Moses? But at that point, I kept telling him, you need to have faith in me and trust me to take care of you. And they murmured and they complained, and God wasn't happy with that. And some of them died out there.
Moses didn't get to go into the promised land.
Right. And so interesting comparisons there, and I think there's going to be somehow it's going to work out where things will play out to where God will know what he's doing with his children. And we just have to trust him with whatever that is, however that looks.
There's a city